Okay, I'm not the best online teacher, but I'm going to try to make this as interesting as you can. Since so many people are gone and so many people haven't been able to be at school since we started this first week, we're going to get through lesson 1, 2, 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, 1.5. This is lesson 1.1, and these are the activities and parts of lesson 1.5. I will show you how to access this. I'll put another video up to show you how to access my.mheducation.com. We'll get you added to the class. So what I want to show you is first for lesson 1.1. This is a video that we're going to teach you this. This is new to me too, so forgive me if I'm not getting all with it. What we're going to do is create a sequence, define a sequence so that you know what a sequence is. We're going to do this. We're going to start with this using a game called the Towers of Hanoi. It's a puzzle, a math puzzle. A sequence is just a list of numbers. That's all it is. And so if you can identify a list of numbers, the numbers are usually separated by commas. And so we're going to start with this warm-up activity. Your goal is to look at a rule for making a list of numbers where each number is one less than twice the previous number. So if you were to pick a number to start with, then you follow the rule and you build a list of 5 numbers. I would rather have you in class where you could do this on your own, but I'll do an example and then I'll let you stop the video and come up with a list of your own. So a rule is making a number is one less than twice the previous number. It says pick a number to start with. I'm going to pick the number 6. And then follow the rule to build a list of 5 numbers. So one less than twice the previous number. So the second number in my sequence is going to be 2 times 6 minus 1. And 2 times 6 minus 1 is 12 minus 1, or 11. To get the next number, I'm building 5 of these. I'm going to do 2 times 11 minus 1. 2 times 11 minus 1 is 22 minus 1, or 21. To get the next number, I'm going to multiply 2 times 21 minus 1. 2 times 21 is 42 minus 1. It's going to give me 41. I'm going to multiply by 2 again and take 1 away. 2 times 41 is 82 minus 1 is 81. And so I've built my list of 5 numbers. Now you stop the video and build your own list of numbers. Pick a starting point. It can be a positive number, a negative number, 0, and then you can continue on. 0 might make an interesting one to try. So stop the tape, come back when you're done. Make your list of 5 numbers. Next, we're going to move on to the first activity in this lesson, the Towers of Hanoi. This is a puzzle where you have 3 pegs and you have a number of discs. You could have as few as 2 discs. You can have as many discs as you want. Currently, I looked online and there's a place somewhere that's trying to operate this puzzle with 64 discs. But the way you do this is you move 1 disc at a time from the peg it's on to another peg. Your goal is to get all of the discs stacked just like they are in this first peg onto the last peg. But you can't ever move a smaller disc or a larger disc on top of a smaller disc. So if I move this top disc here, I could not move the second disc here. So what we have here is an online game. I'll show you how this works. This is an online game, and I'm going to link this to you in the information, the Towers of Hanoi sequence. What we want to see is, our goal here is to build a sequence out of the minimum number of moves for the number of discs that we have. We're going to start this puzzle, only let you start with 3 discs instead of 2. But I'm going to show you, and we're just going to count the moves that we take until we get this stack over here in the last tower. So I'm going to start by moving this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one. And you see I moved that in what the puzzle tells me is the minimum number of moves. That's for 3 discs. For 4 discs, this one may be a little more tricky. Tells you the minimum number of moves is 15. I can't guarantee you that I'm going to get this in 15 moves, but we'll try. And we did 15 moves. If we move to 5 disk, now it tells you the minimum number of moves is 31. So let's look over here. And if we look at this sequence, when we had a number of disks, let's make a table here. We'll call this N, and then we'll go down here and say this is the number of moves, minimum number of moves. I don't really have room to put minimum, but I'm on. Yeah, we'll do that. Minimum number of moves. So when we had N equals 3, we had N equals 4, 5. Let's go ahead and do it for 6, 7, and 8. I think that's as high a number of disks as that puzzle will let you do. In 3 moves, our sequence started with the number 7. 4 moves was 15. 5 moves was 31. Sorry, there's a pattern here. And our real goal, our ultimate goal, is to establish a rule to find a pattern so that if we say we wanted to predict the minimum number of moves for a 50 disc or 64 disc, like that puzzle that somebody's working on now, we would be able to do that. Let's go back to our puzzle and let's figure out. For 6 disc, it says the minimum moves is 63. For 7, 127. I'm going to go ahead and go back and put 63 and 127 in there before I forget. And let's go ahead and do one for 8 disc. I'm not going to try to work that puzzle. 255 moves. So the sequence that we're trying to generate here is 7, 15, 31, 63, 127, 255. And that's the minimum number of moves it would take to solve the Towers of Hanoi sequence or puzzle when you have the 3 disc, 4 disc, 5 disc, 6 disc, 7 disc. So if we had a rule, and we can actually come up with a rule, that rule is going to be the number 2 raised, oops, let's do dot, dot, dot. This just means the pattern continues. You don't know really what the pattern is, but I will tell you in this case is 2 raised to the n power. So I'm going to format text and superscript n, where n is that number, minus 1. So if you think about this, 2 to the 3rd power minus 1, instead of using that superscript every time I'm just going to put this means 2 to the 3rd power and then minus 1. We'll go ahead and put equal sign in there. And 15 is 2 to the 4th power minus 1. And you could continue. This would be 2 to the 5th power minus 1, 2 to the 6th power minus 1, 2 to the 7th power minus 1, and 2 to the 8th power minus 1. So that's the sequence for the Towers of Hanoi. You could play the game, stop the recording, play the game a little bit, try it for 3 discs, try it for 4, see if you can get it in a minimum number of moves. There's another puzzle if you'd like to try it. This IM material calls it a checker jumping puzzle. I'll show you the puzzle, but basically we're going to look at a lot of things called a frog jumping puzzle. We'll do this one in a minute. This one only does it with 3 frogs that I can tell. This one you can set the number of checkers, but your goal is to move the checkers. You can only move blue disc to the right and red disc to the left. You can only move one space at a time unless you jump another disc, and then you can move 2 spaces. But the red disc can only move this direction and the blue disc can only move this direction. So we'll try to solve this. Our goal is to get all 3 blue discs over here and all 3 red discs over here. So we're going to do this. We're going to do this. I may have already messed up. As a matter of fact, I did. I'm going to have to reset it. When you get stuck, when you can't move anymore. Let's do this. Let's do this. Now let's do this. Then this. Then this. Then this. I may have messed up again. But if you try to solve this puzzle, I'm going to take all the time on this video because it'll be boring. But you try to solve this puzzle by getting all the discs to the right, the blue disc to the other side and the red disc to the other side. Let's see. I don't think once I do this and this, it's going to freeze up. Let's try it one more time. I solved this just a minute ago, and now I can't remember how I did it. Do this. I just did that. That's going to be the same thing I just did. Let's try one more time. One more time. Did it here. Maybe I did here. No. Anyway, I can't remember it. Play the game. Stop the video. Play the game a little while. They calls a jumping frog puzzle. Let's try it over here. Click this frog. Oops. Gotta reset the puzzle. This one talks to you as the frogs. And now I'm stuck again. All right. I don't know about you. I can't take the noise. That's how you play a game. Try that. See how many moves it takes you. Generate your own sequence with that. The end of the lesson, we'll look here. This is what our goal is. All right. You come up with a sequence of 5 numbers that follows some rule. You can make up a rule. It could be any rule. I'll make up one. You make up your own. Let's say that we have a sequence that starts with the number 2, and each number is 3 times the previous number. So let's make it an easy one. You could do 3 times the previous number minus 5. You could do 5 times the previous number minus 3. You could do 5 times the previous number 3 plus 3. Whatever you want to do. But you make up a rule. I would say this one, the next number, I'm going to call this number, and we'll explain to you later in the course why this is. This is what we call function notation. F of n is going to be the nth term in the sequence. So in this case, what we would say is the first term in the sequence, f of 1, is equal to 2. And we're going to say that f of n is 3 times the previous term, f of n minus 1. So to get f of 2, the second term, I plug in 2 for this n. I plug in 2 for this n. So this equals 3 times f of 1. And since f of 1 is 2, that becomes 3 times 2, which is just 6. And like I told you, we're generating the sequence by multiplying each term by 3 to get the next term. So 3 times 2 is 6. 3 times 6 is 18. 3 times 18, you can do it in your calculator if you want. That's going to be 54. And 3 times 54 is going to be 162. So you make up a rule, come up with a sequence, starting number, and you won't have a partner at your house, but you can do it with your brother or sister, I guess. All right, but you try that. Stop the video and try to do that. Share your sequence. Let's see. I don't think there's another page. No, there's no other page on that. We look at the cool down. If you got a sequence that starts with 3 and 6, give a rule the sequence could follow and list the next 3 terms. You try this. Stop and try this. Give a different rule the sequence could follow and list the next 3 terms. If you would do that and then submit your sequences to me on Google Classroom on lesson 1.1, lesson 1.1, that would be great. And I would have that to look at and show that you did something. So you'll try that. You can stop the video and try that. And then we'll do the summary, explain what it is we want to learn here. So you've got these lists of numbers separated by commas. We call this a sequence. Lots of ways to define a sequence. One way is to describe how each term relates to the one before it. That's what we did just a minute ago with that one I made up. For example, the sequence 3, 5, 7, 9, 11 can be described as the starting term 3, and then each following term is 2 more than the one before it. Or you add 2 to each term to get the next term. You add 2 to the previous term to get the next term. The sequence 1, 5, 13, 29, 61 can be described as the starting term is 1, the first term is 1. Then each following term is the sum of 3 plus 2 times the previous term. If you wanted to write this in math, if we looked at this sequence, we would say f of n, written like this, the sum of 3 and twice the previous term, is equal to 3 plus 2 times f of n minus 1. This is the new term, f of n. You take the old term, f of n minus 1, the previous term, multiply it by 2, and then add 3. And that would give you the new term. In this unit, we're going to study several types of sequences. So you define a sequence as, a sequence is the list of numbers. Oftentimes, they'll follow some rule. The term of a sequence is just the place in that list. The first term is the starting term. The third term would be the third generated term in the sequence. If you just counted from left to right, 1, 2, 3, that would be the third term in the sequence. So the term is an individual number in the sequence. And that is the story of lesson 1-1. If you will go to your my.mheducation.com, log in, and you can do the assignment that's listed with that. Thanks for watching.